Picture this: a faint, flickering streetlight casting jagged shadows across a cracked sidewalk, the kind of light that hums like it's on its last breath. That's the view from my window most nights, a snapshot of the world I've come to know at 36. My name's Brooke, and I've been piecing together a life in this crumbling corner of the city, in an apartment building that's seen better days. Hell, better decades. It's a squat, tired relic from the 1950s, all peeling paint and sagging walls, the kind of place where the air smells like damp plaster and forgotten dreams. The floors creak underfoot like they're groaning with every step, and don't even get me started on the elevator. It's a rusty old cage that wheezes and shudders, breaking down so often that most of us have just given up on it. I live here with my husband, Andrew, who's 38 and a software engineer, the kind of guy who can debug a program in his sleep but clams up when it comes to talking about us. He's got a quiet strength, a deep well of care that I know is there, even if I don't always feel it lately. Our marriage? It's been stretched thin, frayed at the edges by his long hours and my own unspoken frustrations. We're like two people sharing a space but not really a life, orbiting each other without colliding. This building, though, it's more than just a backdrop. It's a character in its own story, one that shapes every day. The stairwells are narrow, the kind of tight squeeze that makes you hold your breath when you pass someone. Andrew and we've gotten used to trudging up the 5 flights to our place, our calves burning by the time we reach the door. But there are days, long, exhausting days, when I'm too worn out to climb, and I'll stand there, staring at that elevator, weighing my odds. It's a gamble every time, a roll of the dice to see if I'll make it to my floor or get stuck listening to the grinding gears mock me. Sometimes I take the chance, and sometimes I don't. Funny how the smallest choices, the ones you barely think about, can shift the whole trajectory of your day, maybe even your life. Our neighbors are a mixed bag, mostly folks keeping to themselves, nodding in the hallway but never lingering, except for Ryan. He moved into the 6th floor a few weeks back, and there's something about him I can't quite place. He's tall, early 30s I'd guess, with a quiet demeanor that doesn't quite match the disarming smile he flashes when we pass each other. I've only seen him in fleeting moments, grabbing mail, stepping out of the stairwell, but those brief encounters stick with me. There's an air of mystery to him, like he's carrying a story he's not ready to tell. I don't know why I notice him as much as I do. So, here I am, walking beside Andrew on a crisp autumn evening, the kind where the air bites just enough to remind you winter's creeping in. The chill nips at my cheeks as we make our way home from the corner store. Plastic grocery bags digging into my palms with every step. I can feel the weight of canned soup and a loaf of bread pulling at my fingers, the thin handles leaving red marks I know I'll be rubbing later. The distant hum of traffic weaves through the quiet, a steady pulse of the city that never quite sleeps, while the streetlights above flicker like they're deciding whether to give up for the night. I glance over at Andrew, hoping for a spark of connection, but his eyes are glued to his phone, thumbs scrolling through whatever's got his attention more than I do. His face is lit by that cold blue glow, and I can't help but feel the gap between us widen with every silent step. I try to break through the wall, tossing out a casual question about dinner. "Hey, you in the mood for spaghetti tonight?" I grab some sauce. My voice feels small against the evening air, almost swallowed by it. He grunts a vague, "Sure," not even looking up, and I swallow the sting of his distraction. It's not new, this quiet disconnect, but it still lands like a dull ache in my chest. I shift the bags to my other hand, flexing my cramped fingers, and keep walking, letting the rhythm of our steps fill the void where conversation should be. The building looms ahead, its sagging brick facade a familiar sight, like an old friend who's seen too much but still stands anyway. As we get closer, I spot the elevator sign by the entrance, that same out-of-order notice taped crookedly to the glass, the neon behind it flickering on and off like it's taunting me. I let out a sigh, already dreading the climb to our fourth-floor apartment. Andrew notices it too, and with his usual practicality, he shrugs and says, "Stairs it is. Come on." His tone is matter-of-fact, like there's no other option worth considering. But I'm beat. My shift at the retail store today was a grind. 8 hours on my feet, dealing with cranky customers and a register that kept jamming. My legs feel like lead, and the thought of dragging myself up those narrow, creaky steps makes me want to slump right there on the sidewalk. I hesitate, staring at the elevator doors just beyond the sign, their scratched metal surface reflecting the dim lobby light. "Nah, I think I'll risk it," I say, forcing a half-hearted chuckle. "I'll meet you upstairs. Save me a spot on the couch." Andrew raises an eyebrow, a flicker of concern crossing his face, but he just nods and heads for the stairwell, his footsteps echoing as he disappears around the corner. I push through the lobby door, the stale smell of the building hitting me as I step inside. The elevator doors are right there. It's Brooke again, and I'm standing here in the dim lobby, the stale air clinging to me as I stare at those elevator doors. They're scratched and dented, like they've taken a beating over the years, and I can't help but feel like I'm about to take a chance on something that's just as broken as I've been feeling lately. I shuffle forward, the grocery bag still digging into my palms, and press the call button with my elbow. There's a long, agonizing pause before I hear the familiar groan of machinery stirring somewhere above. My heart gives a little thud, not sure if it's nerves or just exhaustion. But I step inside when the doors creak open, the metal cage welcoming me with a faint rattle. The inside smells like old oil and something faintly metallic, and the fluorescent light overhead flickers as if it's just as unsure about this ride as I am. I notice someone else in the corner, a shadow I didn't catch at first, but I'm too tired to make small talk, so I just nod vaguely and press the button for the fourth floor. The doors slide shut with a sluggish thud, and we start to ascend, the elevator jerking slightly as it moves. Then, not even 10 seconds in, there's a grinding screech, a sickening lurch, and everything stops. The light above dims to nothing, plunging us into a suffocating darkness that feels like it's pressing in from all sides. My breath catches in my throat, shallow and quick, as panic claws its way up my chest. I can't see a thing, can't even make out the walls of this tiny box I'm trapped in. My hands fumble for my phone in my jacket pocket, but they're trembling so badly I can't even swipe to unlock it. The grocery bags slip from my grip, hitting the floor with a dull thunk, and I feel like the air is getting thinner, like I'm drowning in this black void. Then, out of nowhere, a voice cuts through the silence, calm, steady, almost too composed for the situation. "Hey, don't worry, I've got something." It's unfamiliar at first, low and smooth, and it takes me a second to place it. My mind races, piecing together those fleeting hallway encounters, and I realize it's Ryan, the new guy from the 6th floor. I hadn't even registered him standing there in the corner when I got in, too wrapped up in my own head. There's a soft click, and a small beam of light pierces the darkness, a flashlight from his keychain, tiny but piercing. It illuminates his face, and I'm struck by the sharp line of his jaw, the steady green of his eyes catching the glow, and this half-smile that's somehow both reassuring and unsettling. He steps closer, the light shifting with him, and I can feel the heat of his presence in this cold, confined space. My pulse is still hammering, but it's not just from the fear anymore. He reaches out, placing a hand on my shoulder and says, "It's okay. You're not alone." His touch sends an electric jolt through me, a wave of warmth that cuts through the chill of the elevator, and I'm hyper-aware of every little sound, our uneven breathing, the faint creak of the metal around us, the way the silence seems to amplify everything. I should pull away, should say something to break this tension, but I don't. Instead, I'm frozen, caught in the intensity of the moment, the way his eyes hold mine even in the dim light. Every inch of space between us feels charged, like static waiting to spark. My heart's pounding so loud I'm sure he can hear it, and I'm suddenly aware of how long it's been since I've felt anything like this. The loneliness I've been carrying, the distance with Andrew, it all crashes over me in this tiny, trapped space, and I feel raw, vulnerable, in a way I haven't let myself be in years. I don't know who moves first. Maybe it's me, maybe it's him, but our faces draw closer, the air between us shrinking until there's nothing left. And then it happens. It's Brooke again, and I'm still reeling from what just happened in that elevator. The doors finally shuttered open on the 4th floor, the dim hallway light spilling in like a harsh wake-up call. My breath is uneven, my mind a tangled mess of guilt and adrenaline as I step out, the grocery bags forgotten on the floor until I scramble to grab them. My hands are shaky, the plastic handles slipping through my fingers, and I can feel the weight of what I've done pressing down on me heavier than any canned goods ever could. I hear the soft scuff of Ryan's boots behind me, casual, unhurried, like nothing in the world just shifted. I don't dare look back at him, don't dare meet those green eyes again, because I'm not sure what I'd see or what I'd feel. And then, as if the universe wants to twist the knife, the hallway stretches out before me, and there's Andrew. He's standing just outside our apartment door, arms crossed over his chest, his face a blank slate I can't read. My heart stops dead, a cold sweat prickling at the back of my neck. I can barely lift my eyes to meet his, my cheeks burning with a shame so raw it feels like it's searing through my skin. I'm rooted to the spot, the bags dangling uselessly in my hands, while Ryan steps out behind me. I hear the faint rustle of his jacket as he adjusts it, nonchalant, like we didn't just cross a line there's no coming back from. The silence between the three of us is deafening, a thick, suffocating fog that fills the hallway. Andrew's gaze flickers from me to Ryan, then back again, his jaw tightening just enough for me to notice. There's no outburst, no accusation, just a subtle nod, a gesture so small it's almost nothing, and yet it cuts deeper than any words could. Without a sound, he turns and walks into our apartment, the door left ajar like an unspoken invitation I'm not sure I deserve. I follow him inside, my steps slow and heavy, the grocery bags still clutched like a lifeline. The familiar creak of the floorboards underfoot feels alien now, like I'm a stranger in my own home. The air inside is stale, heavy with the scent of last night's dinner and something else. Tension, maybe? Or the weight of everything I'm not saying? Andrew doesn't look at me as he moves to the couch, dropping his phone on the coffee table with a deliberate clatter. I set the bags on the kitchen counter, my hands fumbling as I unpack items I don't even register. Soup, bread, a jar of sauce, each movement mechanical, detached. I want to say something, anything, to break this unbearable quiet, but my throat feels like it's sealed shut, every word I could muster turning to ash before it even forms. The next few days are a slow, torturous descent into a silence louder than any argument we've ever had. Andrew doesn't ask questions, doesn't confront me, doesn't even hint at what he might suspect. But I feel it in every glance, every moment he looks away just a second too soon. His silence is a judgment, a gavel striking over and over in the quiet spaces between us. I try to act normal, to stitch together some semblance of routine. I cook dinner, spaghetti one night, just like I'd mentioned, the sauce simmering on the stove while I stir it with a wooden spoon, my eyes darting to Andrew every few seconds. He sits at the table, scrolling through his laptop, offering a curt, "smells good," that feels more like a formality than a compliment. I force small talk, asking about his day, commenting on the weather, but every word out of my mouth feels like a lie, every gesture a performance. His responses are clipped, polite, but there's a wall there, taller and colder than ever before. I catch myself overcompensating, laughing too loud at nothing, refilling his glass before he even asks, as if these tiny acts could erase what I've done. And then there are the moments I dread most. Those fleeting encounters with Ryan in the hallway. It's Brooke again, and I'm standing in the lobby of this crumbling building, staring at those same scratched-up elevator doors that have already betrayed me once. My heart's thumping in my chest, a mix of dread and something else, something stubborn, maybe even reckless. It's been days since that moment with Ryan, days since Andrew's piercing silence started carving out a hollow space inside me. I should take the stairs. I know I should. But there's this pull, this need to face the thing that started it all. Maybe it's defiance, maybe it's curiosity, or maybe I just want to prove to myself that I'm not as broken as I feel. So, I step forward, my sneakers scuffing against the worn tile floor, and I jab the call button with more force than necessary. The groan of the machinery echoes from somewhere above, a sound that feels like a warning I'm choosing to ignore. The doors creak open, and I hesitate for just a split second before stepping inside. The familiar smell of old oil and metal hits me, and the flickering fluorescent light overhead does nothing to ease the knot in my stomach. I'm alone this time, or at least I think I am, as I press the button for the 4th floor. The doors slide shut with that sluggish thud I've come to know too well, sealing me in this tiny, claustrophobic box. For a moment, there's a shaky ascent, the cabin rattling like it's barely holding together. Then, just like before, there's a sickening jerk, a grinding screech that feels like it's tearing through my nerves, and everything stops. The light dims to nothing, and I'm swallowed by darkness again, that suffocating black that presses in from every side. My breath hitches, shallow and sharp, as panic surges up like a tidal wave. I fumble for my phone, but my hands are trembling, useless, and I can feel my pulse hammering in my ears, loud enough to drown out everything else. I'm trapped, suspended between floors in this metal coffin, and the air feels thinner with every second that ticks by. My mind races back to that first breakdown, to Ryan's voice cutting through the dark, to the moment I let myself fall into something I can't take back. I press my back against the cold wall, trying to ground myself, but the memories are relentless, clawing at me in the silence. Then, out of nowhere, there's a faint click, sharp and deliberate, like a switch being flipped. It's a sound that doesn't belong, and it sends a chill skittering down my spine. Before I can even process it, a voice crackles to life, low and cold, coming from somewhere I can't see. Brooke. My name, spoken with a weight that stops my heart dead. It's Andrew. His voice is unmistakable, even through the static of what must be a small speaker hidden in the elevator. I hadn't noticed it before, hadn't even thought to look for something like that in this ancient contraption. I freeze, my breath caught in my throat as he continues, each word precise, cutting. I've been watching, you know. I've seen everything. My stomach drops, a sick, sinking feeling that makes my knees weak. I want to speak, to ask what he means, but my voice is gone, stolen by the darkness and the dread. He doesn't wait for a response. After the first time this thing broke down, I knew something wasn't right. I could see it in your eyes when you walked out of here that night. Guilt, Brooke. It was written all over you. So, I rigged the system. A little remote setup, something I could control. I had to know for sure. His tone is so calm, so detached. It's almost worse than if he were yelling. My mind reels as I piece it together. He stopped the elevator just now, on purpose, trapping me here in this void. He's been watching, waiting, and I had no idea. I accessed the security footage. He goes on, his voice like ice. This building's system is outdated, easy to tap into if you know what you're doing. And I saw it all, Brooke. Every second of what happened in this elevator with him. I saw the way you didn't pull away, the way you let it happen. His words slice through me, each one a blade sharper than the last, and I'm trembling, pressed against the cold metal wall, unable to escape the truth echoing in this tiny, dark space. My chest tightens, and I feel like I'm suffocating, not just from the confined air but from the weight of my own betrayal laid bare. There's a long pause, a silence so heavy it feels like it's crushing me, before he speaks again. I don't know who I'm more disappointed in, myself for not seeing it sooner, or you for thinking I wouldn't find out. And then, with a finality that chills me to the bone, the speaker cuts off with a static pop, leaving me alone in the darkness once more. I don't know how long I stand there, frozen, my mind spinning with the reality of what he's done, what I've done. Eventually, the elevator jerks back to life, the dim light flickering on as it resumes its shaky ascent. When the doors finally groan open on the 4th floor, I stumble out, my legs barely holding me up. My knees feel like they're made of water, wobbling with every step, and my head is a chaotic storm of fear, guilt, and disbelief. The hallway stretches out before me, dim and empty, but it feels like a gauntlet I'm not strong enough to face. I drag myself toward our apartment door, each step heavier than the last, my heart pounding so hard I'm sure it'll burst. I don't know what I'll find on the other side of that door, but I know it won't be forgiveness. When I push it open, the familiar creak of the hinges sounds like a scream in the quiet. The apartment is still, too still, the kind of stillness that feels like it's holding its breath before a storm. I see Andrew immediately, sitting at the kitchen table, his back to me. He's motionless, his shoulders squared, and beside him on the floor is a suitcase. Not mine, his. My stomach lurches at the sight, a sick realization settling in before he even speaks. I drop my bag by the door, the thud of it hitting the floor echoing in the silence, and I take a tentative step forward, my voice barely a whisper. Andrew? It's all I can manage, and even that feels like too much. He turns his head just enough for me to see the profile of his face, but he doesn't meet my eyes. I can't stay here, Brooke, he says, his voice low, steady, but laced with a pain that cuts deeper than any anger could. Not after this, not after knowing. There's no yelling, no accusations thrown in a fit of rage, just this quiet resignation that somehow hurts worse. I want to argue, to beg, to tell him I'm sorry until the words lose all meaning, but I can't find the strength. Instead, I stand there, rooted to the spot, as he continues. I've tried to think of a way we could move past it, but every time I look at you, I see that footage. I see him, and I can't unsee it. The trust, it's gone. There's nothing left to rebuild on. His words are a slow, deliberate unraveling of everything we've built over the years, and I feel each one like a physical blow. I want to reach out, to touch him, to somehow pull him back from the edge of this decision, but my arms stay limp at my sides. I'm sorry, I finally choke out, my voice breaking, tears burning at the corners of my eyes. But it's a hollow apology, and we both know it. Sorry doesn't erase what I did. It doesn't rewind time or mend what's been shattered. He just nods, a small, almost imperceptible movement, and stands, grabbing the handle of the suitcase. I'll be at a hotel for now, he says, still not looking at me. I need some space to figure things out and decide what comes next for us. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment if you enjoyed this story. This will help us create more engaging stories for you.